guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, The Bright Side Girl, and today we're doing my October reading wrap-up. So if you guys aren't familiar, I do two reading wrap-ups. I do an audiobook wrap-up and a physical reading wrap-up. My audiobook wrap-up will be up tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we're going to talk about the books that I physically read for October. I'm going to apologize that this video is up so late. I'm just behind on all of my videos. I got the flu or some kind of bad cold or something like right on Halloween, and it just completely knocked me out. And then my momentum to get things done was just greatly reduced. So, better late than never. The good thing is that I read a ton in October between Spookathon and just reading all the spooky things. So I physically read a total of 9 books slash graphic novel. Then I listened to 11 audiobooks. A lot of them were shorter and things like that, but I also DNF'd some things, so we're going to talk about those first. So I DNF'd 2 graphic novels actually during Spookathon, which that vlog should be up in a few days. Again, so late on that, I'm sorry about that. So I DNF'd Monstrous. This is Volume 1, Awakening by Marjorie Liu. I might try this one again. I am not sure. Like, I found the second book physically. This is the library copy, and I was really excited about it. The artwork is really cool, and it's about a girl that's some kind of monster, but I was just in the middle of reading so many dark books, and this was just really, really dark and super graphically dark because it's a graphic novel, and I just wasn't in the mood to read it, and I wasn't enjoying it. So I did decide to DNF this one because I had so many other ones to get to. And kind of similar situation with The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. This was extremely dark and kind of gory and disturbing. So this is like a remake of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the TV show, like the lighthearted fun TV show, and I knew that it was going to be like a dark version of this. It was just a lot. I just didn't like it. Like, people were peeling their faces off and stuff, and I don't, that's probably over dramatic, but I just wasn't into it. It just wasn't my thing. It was too much, and it was towards the end of the month when I was really done with like my dark spooky reads. I actually did try to watch the TV show. I watched the first episode, and I know I probably should watch more to give it like a fair shot, but it was just like way too gory and crazy and dark for me. I wasn't feeling it. Like Vampire Diaries was kind of like my limit for dark, slightly gory TV shows. So, and I didn't really like the main character actress that much. She was kind of bland to me. So, kind of DNFing this one probably permanently. Okay, so the first book I read this month was The Dead House by Dawn Katurgic, I think is how you pronounce it. This was a buddy read with my new friend Amy over on Instagram, and the reason I picked this one up is just because it was like one of the first books I grabbed for fall. I actually grabbed this in September because it was like, ooh, look, like spooky reads, and I have had really good luck with like my darker, spookier reads for fall, so I thought, you know, we'll just give this one a shot. Plus, what appealed to me most is this one has different formats, which is like my favorite thing ever. So kind of like Illuminae and Night Film, and I had just read Night Film as well, so I really thought that I would enjoy this. So there are just like chat transcripts and journal entries and psychologist entries and video surveillance descriptions and things like that. It's really about a girl named Caitlin, and she has an alter ego named Carly, and she's convinced that Carly is not her alter ego, that it's actually just a different person that inhabits her body, and Carly is convinced the same way, that there is a different person inhabiting her body once nighttime comes. So Carly is there during the daytime and Caitlin is there during the nighttime, and they don't actually sleep, and different things happen, and they have different personalities. So you're kind of trying to figure out whether like this is like a supernatural read and whether there are 2 spirits in one body, or whether she's crazy like the psychologist thinks and she just has like an alter ego, and whether she just has like a multiple personality disorder or what. I'm so torn. I actually gave this one, I think, 4 stars on Goodreads because it was so well done. Like, with these types of books especially, like I never want to stop reading them because there's not chapters, there's just like the next entry, and it was so pull you to the edge of your seat and you just like wanted to know what happened. And for that way, like it was written so well, and if you like these like really dark, disturbing books, you will absolutely love this. I am very particular about the type of dark reads that I like. I usually don't like contemporary dark reads, and this was just really disturbing. For me personally, I might be a baby, and it was super dark, and it kind of like put me into like an anxious mode, not in a good way. I read Night Film last month and I absolutely loved it, and it was really dark, but not as dark as this. It was just kind of more mysterious to me. Like, it was dark and kind of spooky, but this one was like just disturbing. Personally, I give it more like a 3.5 stars of my own personal enjoyment, but because it was so well done, and I do think Dawn is a really good writer, I wound up giving this one 4 stars, but not my favorite, and I won't be buying it. Then I finally finished Toil and Trouble, 15 Tales of Women in Witchcraft, edited by Jessica Spotswood and Tessa Sharp. So I found this one earlier this year and I was excited because last year this was the group read for Spookathon, and I tried to read it on audio and it just wasn't working for me because it had the same narrator for all 15 stories and they're really short, and so because it was like the same narrator but a different story, I kept like mixing up different characters and I was just like, this isn't working. So I found it. I started this like September 1st and I forced myself to finish reading it basically. I don't really know why. I think because I got far enough in, I should just keep going, and also because I had a lot of other DNF'd books. I did not enjoy this, like really at all. It was like a 2.5 star read for me. There was like maybe 1 or 2 stories that I liked, but this is all about women and different witches basically, in different cultures and different time periods and things like that. And they don't connect or anything. They're all individual stories told by different authors. But there was a lot of the type of feminism that I don't like in here, where to me, feminism is equality and like women are treated the same as men and men are treated the same as women, not we hate men because we're feminists and we're going to talk bad about men. I don't like that type of feminism. I don't see the point in it. It's just the exact opposite of the problem to begin with. So there was a lot of negative stuff with men in here, and not in a way like, I don't know how to explain it, like in kind of an agenda type of way in a lot of the stories where it was just like, yeah, women are like way better than men, and I just don't personally like that. I think that just perpetuates a problem. Like, there are terrible men and there are terrible women, and there are fantastic men and there are fantastic women. I don't know. I just didn't like it. It was like just the wrong type of feminism for me personally. I might be over exaggerating that, I don't know. And also just a lot of negativity and things, and like snarky characters, but not like lovable snarky characters, and like really weird things, and I just kind of felt like it was pointless. I might not like anthologies, but I loved the My True Love Gave to Me, the Christmas anthology that I read last year. Every time I read one I was just kind of like, okay, I read that. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it. A lot of modern witchcraft, which wasn't my favorite either. I don't know, I like the fantastical, like historical witchcraft. So I've heard other people have a lot of mixed reviews and bad opinions about this as well, so probably not alone. But 2.5 stars for me, and I will probably be unhauling it. Then I read The Haunting of Sunshine Girl, and I actually got halfway through the second one in this series as well, so we'll talk about that in a second. So I read this one because I found it. This is a contemporary like ghost story slash mystery set in our time, and this girl Sunshine moves into this house that winds up being haunted and finding all these mysterious things about herself and her lineage. And so I don't really want to say too much more. This apparently says it's based off the YouTube phenomenon. I haven't seen that. Have any of you guys watched that? Because I was a little scared to watch it just because this was like really like lighthearted as far as haunted houses go. This was probably about my limit. I don't normally like ghost stories, and just in general, like that freaks me out the most out of everything. But I did okay with this one and I did enjoy it. It's just really fun and like adventurous and kind of silly and very YA. Like, I'm pretty sure that Paige McKenzie was 15 when she wrote this based off the YouTube thing. So if you just want like a fun, spooky read with like not too much depth to it, but just enough, then this is great. I think I gave this one like 3.5 stars. I probably will hold on to this one because I did enjoy it, and I liked the little love story that was happening in here too. I got halfway through the second book and I DNF'd it temporarily. I didn't include it in this video just because there are 2 more books in the series and I was gonna try and like pound through them all, but there were so many other spooky things that I wanted to read and Spookathon was starting, so I was like, I'll just stop it. So I might get to that one just like during the year and not during Halloween, but I will read it in the future because I want to see what happens like with her life and things like that. So I did really enjoy it. I thought Sunshine was a fun character So, yay. Then I read a new favorite duology, This Dark Endeavor and Such Wicked Intent, both by Kenneth Opel. I've had this one on my TBR for like 3 years now. This is a Frankenstein reimagining because it's set when he is a teenager. So you're following Victor Frankenstein, and you're following Henry Clerval, and you're following Elizabeth, but you're like following them as they're growing up and kind of diving into some dark things. But this just takes like a whole different turn. Like you can see how he wound up where he did, but also like it was so amazing. He has a twin brother, and I can't remember what his name is, but his twin brother gets sick, and basically Henry and Elizabeth and Victor try to find a way to save him. And there are like magical elements in here, and it was just really fun. It read up kind of like in between middle grade and YA for me, but it was also like pretty dark, but this was like the kind of dark that I love. I love like Victorian era dark books. These just caught me off guard, especially the second one, and there was like some really cool things that happened in here. I freaking loved the characters, especially Elizabeth. I even love Victor, even though he was a pain in the butt and he was just like perfect. I feel like this was written perfectly for how his personality would have been as a teenager. Just like, I don't know. I thought these were super great. I gave this one 4.5 stars, and I think I gave this one 4.5 stars. They were almost 5-star reads for me. Like, I have such fond memories. Hopefully they have audiobooks on these so I can reread them next year, but I personally love anything to do with Frankenstein, but this was just so good. I just thought it was so much fun, and it was just like they would go on these crazy adventures and then like these magical things would happen. So yay, these were great. Okay, so then I started Spookathon, and I wound up reading 3.5 physical reads for Spookathon, which wasn't that great. I think I did better on audiobook, but I still had a great time, and I did better than I have for my past readathons. So I read The Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan. Again, this one has been on my TBR for a while. So this one is set in a village that has a wall, and they're in this like forest basically in, I'm pretty sure it's in modern times, so it's kind of like post-apocalyptic, but it feels like it's in pioneer times because they have digressed because a plague has swept the earth and people have become, I think they call them unconcentrated. I can't remember what they call them. Basically, they're zombies, and so they have this really intense wall up to guard their village, and our main character wants to kind of know what's beyond the wall and if there's anything beyond the wall. So I don't really want to give away too much more. It's kind of got The Village vibes as far as that goes. I really liked it a lot, and I don't really like zombie reads, or maybe I do because I read Warm Bodies and I love Warm Bodies. So maybe these are like the perfect zombie reads. These are pretty dark, and they're like a little bit heart racing as well, but it was just like perfectly well done. There are parts that get a little bit slow because not a lot is happening, so I'm excited to read the next 2 in the series. I think that they're companions though, which makes me kind of sad because I don't know if we're going to follow our same characters attached to certain people that will probably be in the next books if it's a series. But I really liked it. I thought the love stories were cool too. Some of the characters got introduced kind of fast and kind of out of nowhere. That would be like my one complaint. But overall, I thought it was really good, and I thought the writing was really good too. So I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. This is a graphic novel. This is a young adult graphic novel, even though it kind of looks middle grade. It has the coolest artwork. So these are like 6 different spooky stories, and they're all kind of set like in a woodsy type atmosphere, obviously because of the title. So this was beautiful, and it was very, very spooky, like way spookier than I was expecting for how short and minimalist these stories are. Like, look, there's like, I don't know, 15 words on one page. Like this, it took me like an hour to read this, maybe less. But it was super dark, and all of the stories kind of were left like somewhat to the imagination, which sometimes I like, but in this case I didn't, because I didn't fully understand what happened. Maybe I need to read them again, but they were like really messed up for what this book is. Like, I was really surprised about how dark and messed up these short stories were. So if you want something quick next year for Halloween time, go for it, but maybe don't read it before bed. And the last thing I read for Spookathon, Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell, and I think by Faith Erin Hicks. I'm not sure if she wrote it too. So this is about 2 best friends that work at a pumpkin patch every season, and this is their last season working together, and they're trying to do all the things that they didn't do while they were there and discover some things about each other as well. And so I've heard a few complaints about this. I don't really know why. Like, people said it had like lack of substance. Who cares? It was freaking cute and adorable, and it was exactly what I expected from Rainbow Rowell, and it was absolutely perfect for fall. If you are looking for a fall read that is not spooky whatsoever, this is it. This is exactly what I wanted. They have a map of this amazing pumpkin patch that I totally want to go to. It looks so awesome. They have like a Frito pie stop and a succotash hut and a hayride and pumpkin fields. And, oh, it seems so fun. Have you guys found that it's kind of hard to find fall themed activities that are for adults that don't have kids? Like, it's either super little kiddish or it's like scary because it's Halloween. I want to be at this pumpkin patch because this is exactly what I'm looking for. And I thought it was adorable and I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. You know, there's not like a whole lot of substance to it, but it's just a fun fall read and you're just following them along while they're doing fun fall things. So that's what I wanted and that's what I got. And the very last thing that I read in general was Piper by J. Asher and Jessica Freeberg. So I found this one randomly at the library and I grabbed it. And this is one of the reasons I DNF'd some of my other graphic novels because I had so many to read. So this is a retelling of The Pied Piper, and it was really good and it was really intense and it was really dark, and the ending I was like a little bit confused, but it was perfect. I thought it was great. It was just so good. It was just a magical retelling of The Pied Piper, and it had a lot of the history of like where the original story came from. Our main character is a deaf girl, and so that part was interesting because there's things with the Pied Piper and she can't actually hear the music and stuff like that. So I don't want to give away too much more because it was just amazing, but it was set like in a village and they have problems with rats, and then the Pied Piper comes in and tries to help them. Oh, it was good. It was really dark and the ending was really interesting, but I wound up giving this one 4 stars. Okay, you guys, so those are all of the things that I read in October physically. A lot of graphic novels, a lot of short things, but I had a great month. I really liked most of them quite a bit, but I am super glad that October is over and I don't have to read spooky reads for a while because a lot of them kind of started to get to me. So stay tuned tomorrow for my audiobook wrap up where I talk about a bajillion audiobooks I listened to and I loved those even more. So once it's available, I'll link it down below in the description. Let me know if you guys had a good spooky reading month and what you're reading in November, and I'll see you guys next time on The Bright Side. Bye!